Hi, everybody, and welcome to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. As always, it is my honor and my pleasure to be able to come and share some tips and some tools that will assist you in becoming a better you. Today, we decided to do a live recording, so I'm able to see what people are saying, and we are able to engage and talk together. Listen, this is an awesome day. This is a great day. So because of it being an outstanding day, I decided I'm going to talk about something that will make us feel even better. And so what can I talk about? Let's talk about freedom. Let's talk about freedom from anxiety, freedom from depression, feeling free from oppression, and feeling free from whatever it is that is bounding you up today. So I am so elated that you have taken the time to come and share and listen to become a better you. That's what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about you making a choice to click that reset button, starting all over again and becoming a better you. I mean, what I've noticed the most is that people don't feel like they deserve a second or a third chance. And the reality of it is, if you don't love you, if you give up on you, then that's it. We cannot wait on someone to always encourage us or pick us up or make us feel some type of way. We have to learn to push on our own and to love ourselves enough to know, hey, I can start all over again. No matter how many times I've made this mistake, no matter how long I've made this mistake, no matter how long I've had this addiction, or struggle with this issue, or struggle with anxiety, or struggle with panic attacks, or struggle with depression, no matter how long I have struggled with this, I can start all over again. And so that's what's amazing about our lives, is that we can always click that reset button and give ourselves a second chance, another chance to start all over again. So I am so grateful that you have taken the time to listen to this podcast that is uniquely designed for you. It's designed for you. Comes from a place of healing, comes from a place of experience. So you will often hear me share testimonies and stories that you will be able to relate to and say, hey, I'm not the only person. That is not just me. And that's a wonderful feeling when you have thought for years that you're the only person who has suffered or going through a certain condition or situation. Then you feel isolated. You feel isolated. And I always say that if you feel isolated, that the enemy can get you. He can destroy you. So I don't want you to feel isolated. I don't want you to feel like your story is like just your story and that someone else has not gone through some of the similar things as yourself. I always say that our stories are similar, although our walks might be different. Our stories are very similar. And so I just feel like sometimes it's my responsibility to bring a big bright light on it, so that you don't feel as if it's just your story and that you're all alone and that you're walking by yourself and that no one understands you. Because I've heard that a lot. I've heard individuals say, no one understands me. They don't really know what I go through or what I am dealing with. And it's unfortunate that you feel that way. It's unfortunate and it's not true. So I believe in putting a spotlight on what is truth so that we can all heal and get better together. Okay, so we are the community. So often you will hear me, for those, if this is your first time, you will often hear me say the community, because I believe that we are the community. You and I are the community. No matter where you live, no matter where you're from, no matter what your background or upbringing is, we are a community. So we must learn to share and help and empower and uplift one another. When I'm helping you, I am helping myself. So today we're going to talk about freedom. And I talk about freedom because for those who deal with fear and anxiety and panic attacks, you often feel as if you are in bondage. You often feel as if your world is closing in on you. You feel like you're alone. You feel, singled out. You can be in a room or a place filled with people, but you feel as if you are all by yourself, and what you're dealing with is an isolated situation. You feel alone. You feel overwhelmed. It's hard to think. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms that happens when you're dealing with anxiety, depression, and panic attacks, and just the struggle, crisis. Right now we're seeing more than ever people who are facing and dealing with crisis, right? Everybody in their own way is dealing with some form of crisis because our lives has been pretty much flipped upside down. But I'm going to try my very best to kind of bring a light to this so that you can see that you're not alone, that there is help for you, and there is freedom for you. This is so important to me. I really respect people who come out and they are honest and they say, hey, I've struggled with this, no matter what their platform is. I really, really respect people who tell people, hey, I felt this before. I struggled before. I felt the crisis before. I've had, you know, uh, overthinking moments. I've had sleepless nights before. I'm struggling too right now. And I appreciate that because once again, it shows people, it shows that you're being transparent, which helps other people because sometimes people look at you on the outside and they might not know and see that you too have had moments of low moments, moments of struggle, moments of concern, moments of frustration, moments of just being overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So I feel like it's very helpful, and I applaud those who take the time to, especially those who have a platform to tell people, hey, yeah, you know what? I too, during this time, am facing a crisis. I too have had feelings that I've never experienced before. And I'm seeing a lot of people who have platforms, which means, we're talking about celebrities and all this, who are actually telling people, yeah, right now, I too have had moments where I kind of broke down and cried. I too have taken moments, looked around, realized what we're going through as a society, and it bothered me. Okay, so when people are open like that, it can make you and I feel like, okay, good, we're not the only people, average joes, average people who are struggling with what we're going through right now as a community. So let's bring some light to this. Let's bring some awareness to some of the things that we might be feeling and going through right now. I will share a little bit, and I will give examples as I can to help. And then we're gonna wrap it all up and be blessed. So let's get started. Um, Fear is often fueled by the need to be in control. Okay, better known as pride, and it's not a negative thing necessarily. I don't. When we hear pride, we think this horrible thing, but it's just in this case, this type of pride is a control, right? It's a control. And this control and the fear of not having control, it becomes an issue, especially for those who are dealing with anxiety. What I mean is you're often trying to control a situation or the environment when you're not able to do that. Okay. So the thought of losing this control, the thought of me not being able to stop this from happening, um, stop this from going on, prevent this from happening, makes me feel vulnerable. Okay, makes you feel vulnerable, and then the panic, and then the fear, and everything comes in. It's about control. If you can understand what I'm saying, it's about control. So fear is often fueled by the need to be in control. We think that we can stop things. We think that we can prevent things from happening. And I used to consider myself sort of a control freak. And and it's because a lot of responsibility was put on me to ensure that this was done, this was done, this was done, this was done from my early age up. And so it was a lot of pressure. And then I realized once this has been brought to my attention, this big light shine on me to see that, yeah, this was a lot of pressure. This was a lot of responsibility for things that I could not control. And then when I can't control it, it brings a fear. It brings a fear in me. It brings the vulnerability. It brings me feeling um, as if I'm open and exposed. Okay. And so that's for people when they deal with a lot of emotional issues, they feel open, they feel exposed, they feel vulnerable. That's the best word that I can use is feeling vulnerable. You might be like the strongest person in the world, but certain things can hit you and you begin to experience fear, and then you feel extremely vulnerable. You just feel like just it's open season on you. Just feel like anything can happen, not necessarily good, but just anything can happen. So this is what we're talking about, that the need to be in control in this manner causes a lot of issues. It's not good. It is not good. We're not talking about being responsible. We're talking about being in control. So I can't control the weather. I can't. I can't keep a storm from coming. I can't keep flood. I can't keep a snowstorm from coming. I cannot make it warm all the time. I can't make it spring all the time. I cannot control it. Okay. So me thinking that I can control certain things that is with that is not within my reach, and sometimes we don't think of it like that, but it's true. It's not within I can't keep people here that I love. I might love a person like with everything in me, but I can't keep them here. I can't keep them in my life. I can't keep them alive. Come on. This is the reality. And it's hard to think about it, but it's just the truth. We love and we want to keep people close to us. We want to hold on to as long as we can, but we have no control over that. We do not have control. And so the thinking that you can, putting yourself in a position of thinking that you can, it brings so much emotional pain, so much emotional pain on yourself. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about what happens when we put all this over ourselves, just stressing ourselves about things that we cannot control. Listen, I know it's really hard to understand this type of perspective, okay? But just listen to me. Let's take a look at an emotional disorder fueled by fear. So we're talking about anxiety, right? Although the fear is perceived and not factual during anxiety, it is still its fuel. Okay. It's still the fuel. Fear is the fuel for anxiety. It is. You would experience every physical symptom of something that you do not even have based upon fear. It's going to make you shake. It's going to make you lose focus. It's going to make your thoughts cloudy. It's going to do a whole lot just because of fear. It fuels anxiety. It fuels it. It's no danger. It's not necessarily any real danger. Nothing has happened yet. It was just a thought. Come on. We've talked about the power of our thinking. It was just a thought that something could happen, something could have happened. But guess what we start doing? We start replaying in our minds over and over and over again as if it has happened. We begin to feel symptoms. We begin to experience things of fear of something that has not even happened. I know people who have been in almost incidents, right? Almost accidents. And they have actually replayed in their mind over and over and over again what could have happened if they actually made impact. And they become just physically nervous and shaky and uncomfortable and just really feeling overwhelmed and physically sick based upon the thought of what could have happened. But it didn't happen. We would spend 20, 30 minutes going over in our heads what we could have said and what we should have said and stress ourselves out, but we didn't do it. It didn't happen. We didn't say it. That moment has passed, but we'll spend 20 minutes stressing ourselves out about something that we should have done. We should have handled it that way. It should have worked out that way. And we just go over and over and just allow those thoughts to overwhelm us. Allow those thoughts to overcome us. And then we begin to physically show the symptoms of what we have been thinking. A sick mind will create a sick body. Hear me again. A sick mind will create a sick body. So that's why we have to make sure that we are mindful of what we are entertaining in our thinking process. We have to be mindful. Let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. Amygdala. The amygdala is an almond-shaped mass of cells located deep within the temporal lobes of the brain. There are 2 amygdala situated in each brain hemisphere. It's involved in our emotions. This is why we're talking about this. It's involved in our emotions and motivations, particularly related to survival. It is involved in the processing of emotions such as fear, anger, and pleasure. What I find fascinating is the same thing that is involved in processing my fear and anger also is responsible for processing my pleasure. That is crazy, right? It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. The amygdala is also responsible for determining what memories are stored and where the memories are stored. So that's why our fears, our anger, our emotions, our pleasures, all these things are so important because the same thing that is processing this is the one that determines where these things will be stored and if they will be stored. That's why we have to be so careful about what we are allowing to go into our thought process, what we are entertaining, what we are practicing, because I teach all the time, what you practice, you will perfect, whether it's good or bad. That's for everybody. What we practice, we will perfect. Our brains are muscles, okay? And so how we perfect it, how we make it stronger in an area is practice. If I want to build up my physical arm muscles, I'm going to work out my arm muscles and I'm going to see the results of what I have done. If I don't want to see anything done, no definition to my arm muscles, I'm not going to do anything and I'm going to see those results. It's the same thing in our thinking process. If we do nothing but think negative, doom, gloom, and fear, that's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to perfect. And we're going to see that in our lives. We're going to see that in our physical bodies, our emotions, our responses to things. And then we're seeing by understanding the function of the amygdala that we're going to be able to store memories based upon that. So if all I'm thinking is seeing and putting into myself is just negative and fear and negative and fear and negative and fear. If I go to a place and just make it a bad experience and go to another place and make that a bad, interact with this person and make it a bad experience, just bad experiences, then guess what? Every time I engage with that person or go to that place, all I'm going to have is memories of bad experiences because I have done that to myself. I have done that to myself. I have put that into practice, okay? Studies have led to the discovery of the location of the neurons, okay? Receives, processes, and transmits information through electrochemical signals in the amygdala that are responsible for fear conditioning. If you have never listened to my podcast on fear conditioning, please go listen to this podcast because it is going to help you. It is going to bless you. When I first start research on fear conditioning, it blew my mind. It is such a fascinating term. It's such a fascinating thing. And I want to share this with you today. Fear conditioning, it is a learning process. by which we learn through repeated experiences to fear something. Did you get that? Did you get that? We learn how to fear things. We learn through what? Repeat it. What I just say? Practice it, right? You practice it, you're going to perfect it. So fear conditioning comes from you and I being exposed to something over and over and over again to fear it, to fear it. And so then, therefore, we become afraid. And unfortunately, if you go back and listen to my teaching, I do teach. Unfortunately, this starts off early in our lives by some people who we love. They teach us how to be afraid of certain things. And I know that sometimes it's things that it's because they're afraid of it. So therefore they teach that fear to us. Perfect example would be I think I probably shared this on that particular podcast of someone who I knew that did not like to drive on highways or expressways or anything like that. They just did not like doing it. So they literally taught indirectly the fear of doing it because they didn't do it. They was afraid of it. And so they would indirectly teach the fear of it, by saying, oh, don't go there, don't take that because too many accidents, happen. And, I don't go on that because, they drive so fast and, you can't get off real fast and things happen. Well, things happen on regular side streets too. But this is what they had. That's their fear. And they indirectly attempted to pour that same fear into other people because this was something that they dealt with. And so some of our first teachers, unfortunately, just reality, some of our earlier teachers in our lives, and I don't mean school teachers, I mean teachers, people who are responsible for teaching you basic things in life, whoever they are, grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, whoever they are, aunties, uncles, everybody that we come in contact with, even as young people, they play a part in how we respond to things in our lives. We are sponges when we're children. And so these earlier influencers, I like that. I'm going to use that. Earlier influencers in our lives play a huge part in how we look at things when it comes to fear. Come on. And if we can expose that, if we can say that and acknowledge that and see that to be true, then we can make sure that we don't repeat the same thing to our children. I try my very best to always tell my children what you can do and encourage them. Just give it a try, even though they might not want to do it because they might feel some type of fear or nervousness about it. I always tell them, encourage them that they can do all things through Christ who gives them the strength, that they don't have to be afraid to attempt to try something different, sing a song in front of people, do a speech in front of people, try out for that team, try out for, the drama club, or, go for that job or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like try to encourage them to push past those fears versus saying, yeah, I understand why you wouldn't want to go and do that because when I was younger, I was afraid too. I was scared too. No, let's not encourage them not to move forward. Let's encourage them to move forward. Let's encourage them to try and do things, even if we didn't want to do it. Even if we have had hangups about it, let's encourage them to come out of that fear. Now we're not saying be daredevils and just do things that is reckless or anything like that, but we're talking about facing fears. So we're talking about fear conditioning, okay? Fear conditioning, fascinating. It is a process by which we learn repeated experience to fear something. So our experiences can cause brain circuits to change and create new why I always teach change your perspective, change your life. Change that perspective. Change how you're looking at that situation. change it. Be intentional about changing it, your perspective. Don't allow it, don't want to allow it to change who you are in a negative way. Okay. We don't want to create new negative memories, fearful memories. And once again, it's something that I've shared before about, something like, for example, you've gone somewhere, and you enjoyed it for years and years. It just your place. You love this place. Something tragic happened at this place. You create a fear about this place, and now you no longer want to visit this place because of that one moment or that one incident. Something that you could have read, something that you could have saw, you know what I'm saying? But you have allowed that to supersede all of the good memories that you've had at this place. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that we're not allowing our experiences to completely change our outlook. We want to look at things from different angles and change our perspective, take control. That's how we take control of a situation. That's how we take control over our lives and our thinking processes, is about us changing our perspective. Yeah, this was awful. This was hurtful. This was a blow to my life. But how can I look at this difference so that I don't allow myself to fall into depression? I don't allow myself to fall into a pit hole of sadness and grief and feeling overwhelmed. How can I change this? It's mandatory for you. You have to look at it from a different perspective in order for you to function, in order for you to survive, in order for you to be a conqueror, for you to be victorious. We have to change our perspective. We have to look at things from a different way in order for us to grab a hold of what's ever going on before it grab a hold of us. Okay? There is a natural reason for every function and emotion that we experience. We were designed by the Creator to be prepared and protected. But there are moments when new memories and patterns are created to promote unnecessary preparation and protection. Okay? So we are supposed to be aware. We're supposed to protect ourselves, but there are situations in which we go way beyond for something that hasn't even happened and probably will never happen. So this is like a misfire, a misfire. It's like danger. No, it's not. It's not danger. So let's not respond like it's danger. And your body gets ready, your brain goes, danger. No, it's not. It's not danger. So we need to get that under control. That's what we're talking about today. That misfire of saying something is dangerous, because we are designed to protect ourselves. We are designed to be aware and to make sure that we're making good decisions. But there are moments where we're saying danger and there is no real danger. Okay. Let's look at a book of Psalms 139, 23 through 24. It kind of talks about this. David wrote it this way. He says, search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. He says, see if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. What was David saying? David was stating that his desire is that God search him. That's number one. Search me. Okay. And then he said, and see what David is doing by the way of his thinking. He's telling him, search me and see how I'm thinking. See the way that I'm thinking. And then the perception that causes him to have anxious thoughts. Okay. David asked God to search his patterns, his ways, his practices, and lead him in the way of everlasting, the way of peace and confidence in God. He's telling him, look, search me, oh God. I need you to see the way that I'm thinking, the way that I'm perceiving things. Change your perspective, right? He said, I need you to see how I am looking at things, how I am, my perspective on things, right? Because these things can cause me to have anxious thoughts, okay? And so I need you to search this in my heart and in my thinking so that I can do what? I can have peace and confidence, and I can go in the way that you have designed and created me to do. So this is perfect for what we're talking about. Because even David had to ask God, look, I know my thinking right now is not right. I know that I am looking at things in a way that has caused me to be anxious and that can cause me to be anxious. So I need you to search me and see anything that I'm doing wrong so that I can change this, so that this can be changed, so that I can have peace. Come on, you can't have peace if you are overthinking. You can't have peace if you have fear. You can't have peace if you have an anxiety. You cannot have peace if you have panic attacks. You can have peace if you're depressed. Come on, that's not peace. So we all at some point have to say, okay, let's look, let's see what's going on in me. What is happening? What has happened to me? And let's make sure that we change this pattern, this type of thinking, this type of perception, so that I can be a healthier and better me. We all deserve peace. Do you hear me? We all deserve peace. Everybody deserves peace. And to just give up your peace is absurd. We cannot just lay down our peace. Just put it down. Just never mind. I'll never have peace. I'm never, it's too much going on. It's too much happening for me to have peace. Pick it back up because yes, you can. Yes, we can. We can have peace. Okay. Anxiety disorder is perceived fear about an event that has not happened and with no proof that it will happen. For example, a person with anxiety might perceive a headache that lasts too long as a tumor or an aneurysm, chest pains as a heart attack. The fear or dread is not easily shaken. So you just can't just say, oh, well, it's not a headache. Let me move on. No, we're talking about some real feelings, some real symptoms, because what have they done? They have put it in their head. They have entertained that thought. They have practiced that over and over again. So therefore, it's sticking with them, okay? So they can't just ignore it. They can't just shake it off, okay? And it can increase depending on the individual thinking process. If the individual continues to practice the thought process of pending dread, then more symptoms of anxiety will surface. So don't let the thought have a hold on you. Grab a hold of that thought. Don't allow it to do that. How do you grab a hold of that thought? I'm glad that you asked. I am in a good mood today, so I want to share with you how you can take control and grab a hold of your thoughts. It's simply placed in the book of Philippians 4:8. It states, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. That's how you grab a hold of that thought. It's a switch. It's a switch. You go from saying, I'm having a heart attack, and you know you're not. Come on, we're not talking about people who actually have real symptoms and actually need to go to the ER. I'm talking about you know you're not because you've had this moment 1,000 times. You would have had a heart attack 1,000 times. You know you're not having one. You know this is your panic moment. You know you have an anxiety. You know this is just fear kicking in for no apparent reason, but it is there. Okay, so this is what you're dealing with. And so if you're entertaining, saying, oh my God, this is it. This is the final one, So like Sanford and Son, for those who are old enough to know about that show, he always said this was the big one. And so you're saying this is the big one and you're going down. I want you to switch it. I want you to begin to think about things that is true, that you're not dying right now, that you're not having a heart attack or a stroke. Okay, think about things that is noble and things that are right, things about that is pure and lovely and admirable, anything that is excellent or praiseworthy. Just begin to switch it from all the negative and saying, I'm going to live. Tell him I'm going to live. Tell him I can make it. Tell yourself and encourage yourself and say, I can handle this. I can deal with this. This will not overtake me. I'm taking authority back. Sometimes you just have to physically open your mouth and encourage yourself. I really teach people not to wait on other people to encourage you. I really teach that because I want you to be your own encourager. I want you to be your own fan club to say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can do it. I can make it. I can take it. I'm here to do it with you as well. But if you don't get anybody else, I want you to learn to encourage yourself. I want you to learn to speak over your own life and speak life healing and decree healing over your life and not necessarily have to wait for someone else to verify that. You can do that. You can say, I'll be fine. You can say, I can make it. You can say that this is not the end. You can say that. You can open your mouth and say that this will not overtake me. This will not be the end of me. This is not gonna, be the ruin of my life. You can turn it over and you can change it and you can reset because that's what we believe. And that's what we teach. You can reset. You can start all over again. Listen, I'm not going to be with you long. I just want to talk to you a little bit more about this scripture that I just shared with you. This scripture lets us know that we have the power and the ability to grab hold of that thought. It clearly tells us that we can and should think about these things, positive things, okay? Instead of thinking that everything can and will go wrong, we are to think that it will work out. There's no need to look around every corner expecting the worst to happen. And we have done that. We are conditioned to look for the worst to come. I have heard my entire life, and I will say this over and over again to you because somebody can relate. I have heard my entire life, when it rains, it pours. It is not one thing, it's another. We just can't get a break. I've heard this my entire life, and I've heard it so much I got to a point where I was sick of hearing it. I was offended. I was done and tired of it. Like, I did not want to hear no more gloom and sadness about everything that is going wrong, and if it's not one thing, it's another, and all that. I did not want to hear that anymore. I was just tired of it because I know that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I know that if God has brought me to a place in my life, that he will finish the job with me. He's not going to just drop me off. I know that although it might look rough, it might look tough, it might look hard, it might look like a struggle, I know that it is not going to kill me. It is not going to destroy me because I have power in me and I have authority to speak the things that are not as though they are. So there are things that I have learned to say over myself. And so when I get this negative speaking towards me in regards to life situations, I get really upset because it has taken me a long time to get past that, to understand that that's not my reality. My reality is what God says that I can have and who God says that I am and who I can be. And so that I use my weapon of my words and my faith, and I speak life, and I speak provision, and I speak favor, and I speak grace, and I speak hope, and I speak love, and I have seen it over and over and over again happen. I have seen the fruit of it. And so me putting that into practice, I have seen the fruit of that. That's why I'm so confident when I can share with you about speaking life and speaking hope and not speaking doom and not speaking gloom over your life, over your children, over your family, over your situation, even your finances, just not speaking gloom over it. You might not have what you used to have. You might not have the money that you used to have. And I'm not saying you go around and just say, I'm rich, because you feel like I'm lying because I don't have $2. And I get that. Been there. I understand that. What I'm saying is what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to run around telling everybody I'm broke. I'm not going to tell everybody I have nothing. Because a lot of times we do that, we're looking for pity from people. And people are not going to give you pity. So you need to learn how to speak over your life and say, listen, I might not have what I used to have, but I know that more is coming. I believe that. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you open up your mouth and open up a window and watch God bless you. Open up a door and watch opportunities happen. It's when you say, look, I might not be where I used to be. I might not have the status that I used to have. I might not have the money or the job that you used to have, but all my needs will. Come on, somebody. It will be met. I won't want for no good thing because he promised me. And that's what we have to do. Open up your mouth today and declare over your own self that you're going to make it, that you're going to be able to take it, that you can handle it. Listen, it has been awesome. I'm so grateful that you guys have taken the time to listen to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast. We have been so blessed and privileged to be able to be on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. So whichever platform, social media platform that you're able to listen to us on, we say thank you. Thank you so much. And then we encourage you to follow us so that you don't miss any of our new podcasts. And then go on other social media outlets and follow us. We connect with people. I love chit-chatting. I love talking and connecting with people on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm there and I am ready to chat with you. And even if you leave me a message on the other platforms that you can hear this on, I try my best to respond to those as well. So God bless you for those who decide to follow. I really, really appreciate it. If you're interested in any of the books that I have published, please go and check out Faith versus Fear, Breaking Family Ties, The Crowd. Check those books out. They are available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Listen, I want you guys to take authority and speak of your life. I am free. Today is Freedom Day. It's not Freedom Friday, but it's Freedom today. It's Freedom Day. Freedom Thursday. For those who hear this on my Thursday, it is Freedom Thursday. So I want you all to have an astounding day, because I'm going to have one. I'm declaring it. I'm decreeing it. I'm going to have an astounding day, and I want you to do the same. God bless you guys, and thank you for listening to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cacao.